She gave the world her gentleness, unaware a billionaire in the shadows was about to rewrite her entire destiny. Welcome back, my wonderful family and friends. If you're tuned in and ready to dive into today's story, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and drop a comment letting me know where you're watching from. Tomorrow, I'll be bringing you another exciting story you definitely don't want to miss. So, let's get started. The late afternoon sun draped Manhattan streets in a golden glow, casting long shadows across the busy sidewalks. Among the crowd, Nicole moved with quiet purpose. Her tote bag slung over one shoulder contained sketches, invoices, and a small notebook where she poured out ideas she rarely had the time to realize. She had dreamed of opening her own art gallery for years, but for now, she was just a struggling curator at a tiny downtown gallery. Nicole loved her job. She loved the smell of paint, the soft scratch of pencils on paper, and the way the sunlight caught the dust motes floating through the gallery windows. But the truth was, life outside those walls was harder than she let anyone see. Rent notices, bills, and the pressure to maintain appearances gnawed at her like a slow, constant ache. A street musician strummed his guitar a few steps from the gallery entrance, his hat lying open for coins. Nicole paused, instinctively digging into her wallet. She dropped a few bills inside and offered a gentle smile. "Beautiful music," she said softly, her voice warm. "Keep playing, it's amazing." The musician grinned, nodding his thanks. Nicole watched him for a moment, then continued her walk. She didn't notice the man watching her from across the street, leaning casually against a lamppost, hands in his pockets. Philip wasn't supposed to be here. He didn't belong in this neighborhood, didn't belong in these streets. Billionaire, investor, global heir, he had everything the world said mattered. But he wanted none of it right now. He wanted the anonymity, the quiet, the hum of normalcy. And for a fleeting moment he found it in her. Her kindness, her simplicity, the way she offered encouragement to a stranger with no expectation of return. It was rare. He didn't know why he felt compelled to follow her, just enough to see her cross the small park toward the subway entrance. Philip's world was controlled, calculated, and precise, every action measured. And yet here, he was breaking all the rules of himself, following a stranger, captivated by the genuine warmth she radiated. Nicole, oblivious, continued her walk, sketchpad in hand. She paused as her pencil slipped out of her tote, spilling across the sidewalk. "Oh no," she muttered, kneeling to gather the scattered pages. Philip didn't hesitate. He bent down, picking up the sheets with careful precision. "Here," he said, holding them out to her. Nicole looked up, startled. Their eyes met, and something in that instant made her forget everything else. She didn't know why, but there was a spark, electric, undeniable. "Thank you," she whispered, her cheeks flushing. "Anytime," he said, but his tone carried a weight she couldn't place. He lingered a moment longer than necessary, studying her with an intensity that made her heart beat a little faster. Nicole stood, clutching her sketchpad to her chest. She smiled politely, trying not to let her curiosity show. "I should get going." "Yes," Philip said, but his voice was quieter now, almost as if he didn't want her to leave. She nodded and continued down the street, weaving through the crowd, completely unaware that he was following at a distance, just far enough to stay unseen. Inside the gallery, Nicole set her sketchpad down and sighed, leaning against the counter. The day had been exhausting, but moments like this, small acts of connection, the music of the city, the warmth of human kindness, reminded her why she loved living here, despite the struggles. Philip returned to his penthouse later that evening, the city skyline glittering beneath him. But the thought of her lingered like a persistent flame. Her laugh, the way her eyes crinkled when she smiled, the gentle kindness that seemed to radiate from her every gesture. It stayed with him, haunting him through board meetings and high-profile events. He had spent his life hiding behind suits, deals, and the expectations of others. And yet, in her presence, he felt human again, something he hadn't felt in years. Meanwhile, Nicole sat in her small apartment above the gallery. The streets outside buzzed with the hum of city life, distant car horns, and the chatter of neighbors. She opened her sketchbook, trying to focus on drawing, but her mind wandered back to the man in the park. Who was he? Why did he feel different? There was an air of mystery about him, something compelling she couldn't quite define. She shook her head, trying to dismiss it. She had work to do, responsibilities pressing down on her like a weight. But every now and then, her mind drifted back to the brief encounter, to the intensity in his eyes, and a strange flutter of anticipation stirred in her chest. Later that night, Philip stood by his window, looking out at the same city. The lights shimmered like stars brought down to earth. He whispered to himself, almost a confession, "I have to see her again." And somewhere across the city, Nicole drifted into a restless sleep, unaware that the world she had known was on the cusp of change. Unseen, a story was beginning. One that would bridge two lives from opposite worlds, challenging them in ways neither could have anticipated. The next morning, Nicole left her apartment, never suspecting that the stranger who had captured her curiosity was watching her from a distance, a plan forming in his mind. Little did she know, their paths were about to cross again. And this time, their lives would begin to intertwine in ways neither could foresee. What will happen when their worlds collide? Will fate bring them together or pull them apart? Comment your theories below. The morning air was crisp, carrying the faint scent of fresh pastries and coffee from the bakery below Nicole's apartment. She clutched her sketchbook tighter as she descended the narrow staircase, aware that today was just another day of deadlines, gallery arrangements, and bills. But the city had other plans. Across the street, leaning casually against the corner of a boutique, stood Philip. His sharp suit concealed the casual ease of someone attempting to blend in, but his eyes were fixed on her, scanning every movement, memorizing every small gesture. He had planned to remain invisible, a silent observer, but something about her presence tugged at him, demanding action. Nicole, oblivious, paused outside the cafe, flipping through her notebook. A new client wanted sketches for a private collection, her first real commission. Excitement and anxiety coiled together in her chest. She took a deep breath, steadying herself before stepping inside. Philip followed, keeping just enough distance to remain unnoticed. His heart thudded in rhythm with every step she took. There was something magnetic about her, something rare, vulnerability mingled with quiet strength. And yet, he couldn't risk revealing himself too soon. Not until he understood the depth of his own feelings. Nicole ordered her coffee and a croissant, tapping her pen against her chin as she reviewed sketches for her client. A man's voice interrupted her focus. "Excuse me, is this seat taken?" She looked up to see a stranger with warm, attentive eyes and a faint smile. He seemed familiar, though she couldn't place him. "No, you can sit," she said, gesturing to the chair across from her. Philip, holding back a laugh at her obliviousness, took the seat, careful not to reveal himself fully. "Thanks," he said, voice low, almost as if speaking would break the fragile tension he felt. Minutes passed in polite silence, but the air between them began to thrum with unspoken questions. Nicole couldn't shake the feeling that she'd seen him before. Perhaps in a park, perhaps in a fleeting dream, but every attempt to place him failed. Philip watched her hands move gracefully across her sketchpad, drawing lines, erasing doubts, creating worlds she barely realized existed. He realized he could stare at her forever without fully understanding why, and that realization both terrified and exhilarated him. Then, an incident shattered the quiet. A man tripped nearby, sending a tray of pastries flying. Without thinking, Nicole leapt forward to steady him, her sketchbook slipping to the floor. Philip's reflexes were faster. He bent to catch the sketchbook before it could hit the ground. Their hands brushed. The shock of contact sent a jolt through both of them, electric and undeniable. "Careful," he murmured, looking up at her. His eyes caught hers, and for a moment, the world narrowed to just that exchange. Nicole's breath hitched, not from fear but from a strange, magnetic pull. "Thank you," she stammered. Philip hesitated, a rare moment of vulnerability flickering across his features. I just couldn't let it fall, he admitted. The hum of the cafe faded. People moved in and out, conversations drifted in the background, but they existed in a bubble of unspoken tension. And in that silence, the spark ignited, an awareness that something extraordinary was beginning. Nicole tried to regain her composure. I should go. Work calls. She rose, sketchbook pressed against her chest, heart hammering. Philip stood as well, subtly blocking her path. Wait, he said, voice firmer this time, tinged with a sincerity that made her pause. I feel like I should say more. Nicole frowned, curiosity mixing with caution. More? About what? Philip's gaze softened. About the fact that I feel like I've been waiting to meet someone like you, and I don't even know your name. Nicole froze. The intensity of his words, the gravity behind them, felt out of place yet utterly real. Something deep inside her stirred, a mixture of fear, excitement, and longing. My name is Nicole, she said cautiously. Philip, he replied, offering a small, genuine smile. I know this is sudden, maybe ridiculous, but I couldn't let the day end without meeting you properly, without knowing you. Her pulse raced. She wanted to run, to retreat to safety, but a quiet part of her, hungry for connection, craving genuine human warmth, held her in place. Before she could respond, a sudden commotion erupted near the counter. A customer's argument escalated, drawing the attention of everyone around. Nicole, startled, turned, and in that moment, Philip's hand brushed hers again, intentionally this time, lingering. Hey, wait, he said softly, almost a whisper meant only for her. Don't disappear from my life before we've even really met. Nicole's lips parted. She wanted to say something clever, something meaningful, but all that came out was a quiet, I don't know if I should. Philip's hand tightened slightly around hers, grounding her. Then let me make it simple. Coffee tomorrow? Same time. Nicole hesitated. Her mind screamed caution. Her heart whispered yes. Okay, tomorrow, she whispered. As she left the cafe, Philip watched her go, the weight of reality pressing against him. He had revealed only a fraction of himself, kept the wealth and influence hidden, and yet he had risked it all for this moment. Nicole walked into the bright morning, unaware that the man she had just connected with was not just a stranger. He was a billionaire hiding in plain sight. And by tomorrow, her simple act of accepting a coffee date would begin to unravel a world she had never imagined. What will happen when her life and his world collide? Comment below your predictions. The morning sun filtered through Nicole's apartment blinds, casting stripes of light across her floor. She sat cross-legged on the edge of her bed, staring at her phone. The message from Philip glowed brightly on the screen. Can't wait to see you today. Coffee at the same place, 10 a.m. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. Excitement mingled with apprehension. This man, this stranger, had sparked something she hadn't felt in years, but part of her screamed caution. Who was he really? What was he hiding? Nicole shook her head and typed a polite decline. Sorry, I'm busy today. She pressed send and felt a mix of relief and regret. The curiosity that had drawn her to him yesterday still lingered, but experience had taught her that unknowns often led to heartbreak. Across town, Philip stared at his phone, reading her message. His jaw tightened. The brief surge of disappointment was familiar. He'd been dismissed countless times in his life, but this one stung differently. Nicole wasn't just another fleeting encounter. She had opened something in him he hadn't dared feel for years. Hope. He leaned back in his chair, the city skyline sprawling beyond his office window. Even with billions, private jets, and influence, he felt vulnerable, exposed. And for the first time, he realized that some risks weren't financial. They were emotional. Later that afternoon, Nicole found herself in her studio, surrounded by sketches and half-finished paintings. She tried to focus, to channel the nervous energy into her art, but every brushstroke reminded her of Philip. The warmth of his gaze, the weight of his hand on hers, the intensity behind his words. Her mind rebelled. He was a stranger. She didn't know him, not really. And yet, she felt tethered to him in ways she couldn't explain. The doorbell rang. Startled, she jumped. Nobody ever came to see her unannounced. She peered through the peephole. A delivery man held a small package. "Sign here," he said. Nicole signed, took the box, and closed the door. There was no return address. She opened it carefully. Inside was a delicate silver bracelet, engraved with a tiny symbol, a small compass. A note lay beneath it. "For when you feel lost, remember to follow your heart." Philip, her heart raced. Questions flooded her. How did he know her address? Was this a gift or a test? She felt a thrill mingled with fear. That evening, Nicole tried to ignore the day's events. She poured herself tea, wrapped in a blanket, and sat near the window, watching the city lights flicker. She wondered about him, about the life behind the charm, the intensity she'd glimpsed in his eyes. The truth was, she was resisting the pull, the attraction, the vulnerability he had ignited in her. But as she stared at the bracelet, a spark of something undeniable glimmered inside her chest. Curiosity. Meanwhile, Philip wasn't sitting idle. He understood her hesitation and respected her pace, but his patience was fraying. He decided to show her a glimpse of his world without overwhelming her. A delicate balance. A private message pinged on her phone, this time more casual. "Meet me at the park near your studio tomorrow morning. Just a walk. No expectations." Nicole stared at it. She felt a tremor of excitement and fear. A walk. Just a walk. Safe yet thrilling. She considered ignoring it, but found her fingers typing back almost instinctively. "Fine. Tomorrow." The next morning, she arrived at the park. The autumn leaves crunched beneath her shoes, and the air carried the scent of damp earth. Philip waited near the fountain, hands in his pockets, eyes scanning the surroundings. He looked ordinary, yet every movement carried a quiet elegance that belied his wealth. "Nicole," he greeted softly, and she felt the tension in her chest ease slightly. "Morning," she said cautiously, keeping her distance. They began walking along the path, silence stretching comfortably between them. Yet beneath the calm exterior, both were acutely aware of the undercurrent of emotion. Desire, curiosity, fear, and longing all intertwined. "I wanted to show you something," Philip said finally, breaking the quiet. "Something small, but important." He pulled out a leather-bound sketchbook, worn at the edges. "I carry it with me everywhere. Thoughts, ideas, moments I don't want to forget." Nicole tilted her head, intrigued. "And you want me to see it?" Philip nodded. "Only if you want. No pressure." They sat on a bench and he opened the book. Pages filled with sketches of city streets, people in cafes, quiet moments captured in ink and pencil. Then she saw it. A sketch of her in the park with the bracelet she hadn't yet received. Her eyes widened. "You drew me?" Philip nodded, gaze steady. "I did, because you matter, and because I wanted you to know that I see you, really see you, even when you don't notice." Nicole's chest tightened. Emotions surged. Flattery, disbelief, and the stirrings of something deeper. But just as she was about to respond, her phone buzzed violently in her pocket. A message from her assistant. "Urgent. Your gallery client is demanding a meeting now." She groaned. I have to go." Philip's hand brushed hers. "Wait, before you leave, think about what you want. Not just what the world expects. What you want." She hesitated, heart racing, and then nodded. She grabbed her bag, leaving him sitting there, calm yet expectant. As she walked away, Nicole didn't notice the black SUV parked across the street, tinted windows shielding two men observing the scene. Philip's secret life, the one he had hidden from everyone, including her, was closer than anyone imagined. The walk in the park had been the calm before a storm that neither of them could anticipate. Who's watching Philip and Nicole? Will Nicole ever discover the truth about Philip's world? Comment your theories and subscribe to Philia Heart. The next day, a sudden storm rolled through the city, dark clouds swallowing the skyline, lightning fracturing the sky like jagged glass. Nicole had barely stepped outside her studio when the rain began in sheets, drenching her within seconds. She cursed under her breath, fumbling for her umbrella, but it had broken days ago. She ran down the street, seeking shelter. Through the torrential rain, she spotted the familiar silhouette of Philip, standing under the awning of a small bookstore. His coat flapped in the wind, yet he remained composed, eyes scanning the street until they locked with hers. "Nicole!" he called over the storm. "Quick, get under here." She sprinted, soaked and shivering, until she reached him. He handed her his coat without a word, the warmth of his hands brushing hers. The proximity made her heart pound, so close yet surrounded by chaos. "Thanks," she murmured, voice trembling from cold and nerves. Philip gestured toward the doorway. "Let's wait it out inside. It's warmer there." Inside the bookstore, the scent of old pages and fresh coffee mingled. The storm's roar outside became a distant murmur. Nicole wrung her hands, realizing they were trapped together by circumstance. Philip studied her silently. "I wanted to see you again," he said softly, his voice cutting through the ambient noise of falling rain. Nicole looked away, guilt and frustration flickering across her features. I can't just pretend nothing's happened." He tilted his head, curious. "Pretend? I don't want pretenses. I want honesty, even if it's messy." The storm intensified, drumming against the roof. Nicole and Philip wandered between the aisles, avoiding puddles forming on the floor. Every step felt like an inch closer, yet the tension was palpable. "I'm scared," Nicole admitted finally. "Scared of what I feel, scared of what I don't understand. You're not like anyone I've ever met." Philip's eyes softened. "I know, and that's why I'm not asking you to leap blindly. I just want you to see me, all of me. My life isn't simple, but my feelings are." She hesitated, overwhelmed by his intensity. She had spent years learning to protect herself, to shield her heart. The vulnerability he demanded made her uneasy. Just then, the storm caused a small shelf to topple, sending a cascade of books to the floor. The noise startled them both, forcing them into close proximity. Philip reached out instinctively, steadying her with a hand on her shoulder. Their faces were inches apart. Nicole's breath hitched. The smell of his cologne, the warmth radiating from him, the closeness, it was intoxicating. She felt a pull she had tried to resist, yet could not. I should go," she whispered, stepping back. "No," Philip said firmly, though gently. "Stay, just for a minute. Trust me." The rain slowed to a drizzle, but the moment in the bookstore remained charged. They moved to the small cafe corner within the store. Philip gestured to a table by the window. "Sit. Have some tea. Let's talk." Nicole obeyed reluctantly. The storm outside mirrored the storm inside her chest. Philip poured hot tea, the steam curling between them like a veil. "I need to know the real you," she said, stirring sugar nervously. "Not the charming man I met yesterday. Not the mysterious billionaire I suspect you are. The real you." Philip looked into her eyes. "That's what I want too. But trust doesn't happen overnight. It's built slowly. Like these pages," he said, gesturing to the books around them. "Layer by layer, one moment at a time." Nicole nodded, feeling a fragile truce forming. But the uneasy sensation of being watched lingered. She could feel it in the small shifts of shadow by the window, the quiet shuffle of patrons leaving. Suddenly, the cafe door burst open. A man in a dark raincoat entered, scanning the room with purpose. He stopped for a moment, his gaze landing directly on Philip. Recognition flashed across his face. "Mr. Langford," he said in a low, commanding tone. Philip stiffened. "I didn't expect to see you here." Nicole froze, feeling the tension spike. Who was this man? And why did Philip react like he had been caught in a trap? The man approached slowly, his eyes never leaving Philip's. "We need to talk," Now. Philip's jaw tightened. He glanced at Nicole. Stay here. Don't move. Promise me. Nicole's pulse quickened. What's happening? Philip's hand rested on hers briefly, reassuring yet urgent. I'll explain. Later. Trust me. The man leaned in, speaking just loud enough for Philip to hear. Your past is catching up, Langford. And she's too close to see it all. Nicole's eyes widened. Her heart pounded. She had no idea what secrets Philip was hiding, but she could feel that her presence had triggered something dangerous. Citier. What danger is Philip facing? Will Nicole be safe? Comment your predictions below. The storm had passed, leaving the city slick and shimmering under the dim glow of streetlights. Nicole couldn't stop thinking about the man in the raincoat at the bookstore. The way Philip's expression had shifted from calm to tense in a heartbeat. Her mind raced with questions, but she knew one thing. She needed answers. Philip had insisted on waiting until nightfall to explain. They had retreated to his apartment, a penthouse that overlooked the city, lights twinkling like stars below. The elevator ride was silent, heavy with anticipation. Nicole sat near the glass wall, watching the streets below, wondering how a man like Philip could hold so many secrets behind such calm eyes. When the doors opened, Philip led her inside. The apartment was sleek, minimalistic, yet warm, a reflection of his complexity. He gestured toward a lounge chair. Sit, he said, voice low, almost hesitant. Nicole perched on the edge, studying him. Philip, I need to know. Why all the secrecy? Why the panic at the bookstore? Philip sank into the sofa across from her, rubbing his face as if gathering courage. Nicole, there's a side of my life you don't know. A side I've tried to keep hidden because it's dangerous. Because I didn't want you to get hurt. Nicole felt a chill. Dangerous how? He exhaled slowly, leaning forward. I inherited a business empire from my family, Harrington Industries. But it's not just any business. It's global, influential, political, powerful. And with that power comes enemies. People who want to destroy everything I've built. People who would hurt anyone I care about to get to me. Nicole's mouth went dry. Enemies? Like who? Philip's eyes darkened. Competitors, rivals, even those I trusted once. I've had threats for years. Physical, financial, emotional. Every relationship I've had has been complicated by my identity. I thought I could control it. Until you. Nicole swallowed, her heart pounding. Me? Yes, he admitted. Because you're not part of this world. You shouldn't have been caught in it. And yet, you see me. You see me, not the billionaire, not the empire, not the headlines. And that terrifies me. He paused, letting the weight of his words sink in. Nicole wanted to reach out, to touch him, but fear and confusion held her back. Philip, I don't know what to say. I feel like my life has been turned upside down in one day. Philip's hand hovered over hers, hesitant. I didn't ask for this to happen, but I can't pretend that my feelings aren't real, and I can't protect you from my world forever. You deserve the truth. He stood, moving toward a cabinet and retrieving a leather-bound folder. He set it on the table between them. Nicole's curiosity flared. What's this? She asked. He opened it, revealing a series of photographs, documents, and letters. Evidence of his business dealings, security protocols, and threats he had faced. The last photo made Nicole's breath catch. A picture of a man she recognized from the bookstore, his mysterious visitor, handing Philip an envelope outside a corporate building. That man, he's one of my father's old associates. He keeps track of threats. He ensures I'm safe. But sometimes he delivers news I wish I could ignore, Philip explained. Nicole's mind spun. Every moment, every glance, every secret smile now carried layers she hadn't understood. All this? Why didn't you tell me? Because I wanted you to know me first, he said, stepping closer. Not Philip Harrington, the billionaire. Just Philip, the man who laughs at bad jokes, who burns toast, who stays up reading until dawn. That's who I wanted you to see. The rest, I was scared you wouldn't want me if you knew. Nicole felt tears prick her eyes. And now, he said, kneeling in front of her. I have to show you everything, if you'll let me. A fragile silence settled, broken only by the hum of the city below. Nicole's chest tightened. She wanted to trust him. She wanted to believe in them. But the reality of his world loomed like a storm cloud. Suddenly, her phone buzzed. A text flashed across the screen. I know where she is. Don't let her get close. Nicole froze. Her heart lurched. Philip saw the message and immediately grabbed her hand. They know, he whispered. They've been tracking us. They want to use you to get to me. Nicole's breath caught. She had imagined danger in abstract, but now it was real, present, looming in the shadows of the penthouse. Philip's eyes bore into hers. I won't let anything happen to you, but you have to stay close. Trust me, just a little longer. Nicole nodded, swallowing her fear, but a new question burned inside her. Who exactly was after Philip, and how much of her life was about to spiral into the unknown? A shadow moved near the window. Nicole turned, heart racing. Philip followed her gaze, frowning. They're here, he whispered, and I'm not sure if we can stop them. What will happen to Nicole and Philip? Can love survive the secrets and dangers lurking in Philip's world? Comment your theories below. The penthouse was eerily quiet after the unsettling message. Nicole's hands were still trembling, and Philip's sharp gaze swept the room, scanning the shadows, every instinct alert. Despite the danger outside, there was a fragile bubble between them. A moment suspended in time where the world slowed, and the walls of their hearts began to lower. Philip sat beside Nicole, close enough that she could feel the warmth radiating from him. I know this is a lot, he murmured, and I don't expect you to forgive my secrecy overnight. Nicole exhaled shakily. I don't know if I can, or if I even should. He gently took her hand, intertwining their fingers. The contact was small, almost innocent, but it carried weight. You don't have to decide now. Just let me show you that you're safe with me, that I'm not just a man behind a suit and headlines. I'm someone who wants you, really wants you. Nicole's eyes softened, and for the first time that night, a small, tentative smile broke through the tension. She realized that despite the danger, despite the secrets, she had chosen to be here, to be with him. The warmth of his hand anchored her, a fragile tether to trust and hope. Philip stood and returned with a blanket, draping it over her shoulders. Comfort, he said softly, trying to ease the cold creeping in from the city outside. But it was more than just physical warmth. It was emotional, a small gesture to remind her that someone cared, truly cared, for her safety and heart. They sat in silence, watching the city lights flicker, the hum of distant traffic like a lullaby. The tension in Nicole's chest slowly began to loosen. I don't even know how you live like this, she admitted, nodding toward the skyline, toward the empire that loomed behind him. The constant threat, the pressure. Philip sighed, leaning back. I've been alone for so long, Nicole. Every relationship, every friendship, it always came with a price. Either they were after something, or they left when things got too complicated. But with you, it's different. You're not part of this world, and yet you've become part of me. And that terrifies me as much as it excites me. Nicole's heart skipped a beat. The vulnerability in his voice was raw, unfiltered. For a moment, she let herself imagine a life where they could just be, where she didn't have to worry about threats, secrets, or the empire that cast its shadow over him, where love could exist in its purest, simplest form. You make it easy to forget everything else, she whispered. For just a second, I feel like we could have a normal life. Philip chuckled softly, brushing a stray strand of hair from her face. Normal is overrated, he said, though his eyes were tender. But moments like this is why I fight to protect it. To protect you. Nicole leaned against him, letting herself feel the comfort of his presence, the steady rhythm of his heartbeat beneath her ear. For the first time in weeks, fear didn't dominate her thoughts. Instead, there was trust. There was warmth. There was connection. They talked long into the night, Not about danger or empires, but about life, dreams, and the small quirks that made them human. Nicole laughed at his stories, like how he once accidentally flooded a hotel suite because he didn't understand the shower controls, and he laughed at her tendency to rescue stray animals, regardless of how inconvenient it was. Humor softened the tension, creating a fragile bond built on shared moments, trust, and vulnerability. But as the night deepened, so did the shadows outside. A sudden knock at the door shattered the moment. Both of them froze. The city's hum seemed to die down, replaced by the ominous echo of footsteps that didn't belong to the security team. Philip's hand instinctively gripped hers, eyes narrowing. "Stay behind me," he whispered, his protective instinct flaring. Nicole's pulse quickened, not just from fear, but from the adrenaline that came from being so close to him, in the midst of danger. A shadow flickered through the doorway. A man's silhouette loomed, tall and imposing. Philip stepped forward, shielding Nicole instinctively. "Who's there?" he demanded, voice steady but edged with tension. The man stepped into the light, and Nicole gasped. It was someone she had seen before, someone she didn't expect. His intentions were unclear, but his presence made it obvious. The threats were far from over, and the fragile moment of bonding they had shared was about to be tested. Philip's eyes met Nicole's. "Whatever happens," he said quietly, "we face it together. Do you trust me?" Nicole swallowed, her hand tightening around his. "I trust you," she whispered. The man smiled, a cruel twist tugging at his lips. "Good," he said, "because things are about to get very interesting." Nicole realized that their quiet, intimate bonding night was about to shatter. The stranger's intentions could change everything. They might not just be after Philip, but her as well. Who is the stranger? Will Nicole and Philip survive the threat? Or is their newfound bond in jeopardy? Comment your theories below. The stranger's presence was suffocating, filling the penthouse with a tension Nicole had never felt before. Philip stood rigid, his protective stance between Nicole and the unknown intruder a shield of defiance and fear. "Who are you?" Philip demanded, voice low but commanding. The stranger's smile widened, mocking, confident, dangerous. "You know me," he said, his tone dripping with menace. "And you've been hiding from me far too long, Philip." Nicole's heart raced. Her pulse pounded in her ears as she glanced between Philip and the man, sensing the unspoken history, the depth of the danger she had walked into. Her newfound trust, their fragile bond, now felt fragile, on the verge of shattering. Philip stepped closer to her, keeping one hand on her shoulder, the other ready to defend. "You won't hurt her," he warned, his eyes blazing with fury. The intruder laughed softly. "Oh, she's not the target, not yet. But she is collateral." Nicole froze. The word collateral lodged itself in her chest like a knife. Her mind raced. She had come so far in trusting him, in allowing herself to feel safe, and now every heartbeat carried the possibility of loss. "You've been careless, Philip," the man continued, "letting your little world intrude on mine. But tonight, I fix it." Philip's jaw tightened. "You're making a mistake. Whatever you think, you won't take her." The intruder shrugged. "We'll see." In a swift motion, he reached toward the security panel, triggering alarms that blared through the penthouse. Nicole jumped, the sudden noise shattering the calm she had felt earlier. Philip grabbed her hand. "Stay close. Trust me." Nicole nodded, fear and adrenaline coursing through her veins. But even as they moved toward the interior rooms, her mind kept returning to the bond they had just forged. The laughter, the confessions, the gentle touches, and she feared this intrusion could undo it all. The intruder moved with precision, blocking exits, manipulating the sophisticated security system that Philip had relied upon for years. Every attempt to outmaneuver him seemed to fail. Philip's confident facade was cracking, and Nicole saw for the first time the vulnerability beneath the billionaire armor. A vulnerability that made her care for him even more, yet terrified her. Suddenly, the man lunged toward them. In the chaos, Nicole tripped, crashing to the floor. Pain shot through her arm, and a gasp escaped her lips. Philip reacted instantly, scooping her into his arms. His eyes blazed with a mixture of fear, rage, and desperate protectiveness. "You'll have to get through me first," he growled, his voice raw, commanding. The intruder hesitated, calculating. Then, with a smirk, he vanished into the shadows, leaving only a cryptic message etched onto a digital tablet he had left behind. "I'll be back, and next time you won't be ready." Nicole's breath came in ragged gasps. She looked up at Philip, their eyes locking. The fear, the adrenaline, the near-death experience had forged a bond stronger than words, but it had also exposed the fragility of trust. Philip lowered her gently to the floor, brushing strands of hair from her face. "I'm so sorry," he whispered. "I should have told you everything sooner. You shouldn't have to face this kind of danger." Nicole's voice trembled. "It's not your fault. It's just, I thought I could trust you fully, and now." Philip placed a finger on her lips, silencing her. "You can. I'll make sure of it. But the world we live in, it doesn't forgive ignorance." Nicole nodded slowly, realizing that despite the fear and chaos, her feelings hadn't vanished. They had intensified, crystallized through shared danger. But the intruder's threat lingered like a shadow over every heartbeat. They stood together in the center of the penthouse, both shaken but resolute. The night's events had tested the boundaries of trust, had pushed them to the edge, and had shown them how much they truly meant to each other. Yet, even as they clung to each other, the sense of danger was far from over. Somewhere out there, the intruder was plotting, biding his time, and preparing for a confrontation that could destroy everything they had fought to protect. Nicole whispered, almost to herself, "Do you think we're ready for whatever comes next?" Philip's eyes were fierce, determined. "We have to be. Together." The digital tablet on the floor flickered, a countdown appearing. A sinister reminder that the next move was imminent. The intruder has left a clear warning. Their safety is temporary, and the next attack could be deadly. Nicole and Philip must prepare, but can their trust and bond survive the escalating threat? What will happen next? Will Philip and Nicole survive the intruder's next move? Comment your predictions below. Philia Heart presents True Billionaire Romance. The penthouse was silent now. The alarms had faded, the intruder gone, but the tension lingered like a shadow that refused to leave. Nicole sat on the edge of the sofa, hands clasped tightly in her lap, trying to steady her trembling. Philip stood by the window, gazing out at the city lights, his jaw tight, mind racing. Everything had changed in just one night. The threat, the near-death experience, the truths revealed. They were all weighing heavily on them. And yet, despite it all, the emotions between them had only grown more intense, more complicated. Philip finally spoke, his voice low, almost hesitant. "Nicole, I know I put you in danger. I know I should have told you everything from the start. But I need to know, do you still trust me?" Nicole looked up at him, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. Her mind was a storm of fear, love, and uncertainty. "I don't know, Philip. I want to trust you. I do. But after everything, how can I be sure?" He took a step closer, closing the distance between them. "Because we've survived together. Because we've faced fear and danger side by side. And because I can't imagine my life without you in it." Nicole swallowed hard. The words pierced through the fog of fear and uncertainty. Her heart was screaming yes, but her mind hesitated. Choosing to trust him fully meant opening herself up completely, risking everything she had fought to protect. Her heart, her independence, her sense of safety. She stood, pacing the floor, trying to sort through the whirlwind of emotions. Memories of their journey together flashed before her. Every laugh, every touch, every moment of connection. And yet, the intruder's threat loomed large, a reminder that love didn't erase danger. Philip followed her, gently taking her hands in his. "I'm not asking you to decide tonight. I'm asking you to consider, to let me prove that us can survive. That I can keep you safe." Nicole's eyes searched his, looking for any sign of doubt or deception. There was none. Just honesty, vulnerability, and an intensity that made her pulse race. She knew the choice was hers, to retreat, to protect herself, or to leap fully into the unknown with him. Her chest tightened as she realized what she truly wanted. Not safety, not perfection, but him, Philip, the man who had made her laugh, who had held her hand through fear, who had shown her that love could be both terrifying and beautiful. I want to try, she whispered, her voice trembling. I want to believe in us, but I need you to promise me, no more secrets, no more hiding anything. Philip's face softened, relief washing over him. I promise, Nicole. No more secrets. Only honesty. Only us. They embraced, holding each other tightly, as if the closeness could shield them from the world outside. For a moment, everything felt right, balanced, possible. But just as Nicole began to let herself relax, the penthouse phone rang. Philip hesitated, then answered. His expression shifted immediately, alarm, tension, recognition. What is it? Nicole asked, sensing the change instantly. Philip's voice was grim. It's him, the intruder. He's back. And he's not alone this time. Nicole's stomach dropped. The relief, the choice, the trust. They were all threatened again, and this time the danger was closer, more immediate. Philip grabbed her hand, eyes blazing with determination. We face this together, Nicole. Whatever comes, we face it as one. Nicole nodded, heart pounding, mind racing. She had made her choice to trust, to love, to stand beside him. And now that choice would be tested in ways neither of them could anticipate. Cue the intruder returns, this time with reinforcements. Philip and Nicole's trust and love will be pushed to the limit as danger closes in. Can their bond survive the storm, or will the secrets and threats tear them apart? What do you think will happen next? Will Philip and Nicole survive the intruder's next attack, or will danger tear them apart? Comment your theories below. The penthouse was a flurry of controlled chaos. Alarms blared faintly in the background, security personnel swarmed the corridors, and Philip's trained instincts took over as he moved with precision, guiding Nicole behind him. Her hand gripped his tightly, heart pounding in rhythm with every step. This was the culmination of everything, the choice she had made, the trust she had granted him. Now, it was not just about love. It was about survival. They reached the living room, the place where only hours ago they had declared their commitment to each other. But the tranquility of that moment had been shattered. The intruder, revealed to be an industrial spy working for a rival conglomerate, was cornered in the foyer, restrained by the security team Philip had summoned earlier. Nicole exhaled, a mixture of relief and lingering fear flooding her. It's over, she whispered. Philip shook his head slightly, scanning the room. Not completely. There's always someone trying to take advantage of something. But we survived this together. That's what matters. Nicole felt her chest relax, and for the first time in hours, she allowed herself to fully absorb the depth of what had just happened. Their love, tested against fear and deception, had endured. Philip turned to her, eyes softening. Nicole, after everything, I want to give you something real, tangible. Not just words or promises. She blinked, uncertain of what he meant. Before she could respond, he stepped closer, producing a small velvet box from his pocket. Her breath caught. I know this has been overwhelming. I know the world I live in isn't easy, but I want to navigate it with you. Not hiding, not running. I want you in every part of my life. Nicole's fingers trembled as he opened the box. Inside was a ring, simple, elegant, but brimming with meaning. Nico, he began, using the name that had become theirs alone. Will you marry me? Tears welled in her eyes. For a moment, the world outside seemed to dissolve. The chaos, the fear, the dangers, they all faded. All that mattered was the man who had shown her both vulnerability and strength. The man who had fought for her trust. The man who had made her heart soar with love. Yes, yes, Philip, she cried, throwing herself into his arms. The ring slipped onto her finger as he held her close, the city skyline glowing behind them like a silent witness to their joy. They stood together, arms wrapped tightly, as if anchoring each other to the moment, to the truth of what they had survived. It wasn't just love. It was resilience, trust, and the courage to choose each other despite every obstacle. Hours later, after security cleared the penthouse, they sat together, sipping wine and watching the city below. Philip's hand found hers again, fingers entwined, a silent promise passing between them. "I'm not perfect," he admitted softly. "And this life, it's never going to be perfect either. But you make it worth it. Every risk, every challenge, every sleepless night, worth it." Nicole smiled, resting her head against his shoulder. "We're perfect together, Philip. Not because life is perfect, but because we chose each other, even when it was hard. Even when it was scary." A long silence passed, comfortable and full of understanding. They didn't need words to confirm what had been built in the fires of fear and the quiet moments of trust. Philip's phone buzzed lightly on the table. He glanced at it, then locked eyes with Nicole. "Nothing matters more than this moment. I won't let anything steal it from us." Nicole nodded, feeling the weight of the past dissolve entirely. The love they had found, unexpected and unplanned, had survived every test, and now it could flourish freely. As the night deepened, they stood by the window once more, holding each other and gazing at the city lights. Philip kissed the top of her head, whispering, "We did it. We made it." Nicole chuckled softly, tears of happiness sliding down her cheeks. "We did, and I wouldn't change a single second of it." The intruder's threat was neutralized, their love fully affirmed, and the couple had emerged stronger, more connected than ever. The story's tension resolves with the promise of a future together, yet hints remain that their shared life will face new adventures and challenges, keeping the narrative alive for viewers' imagination. What do you think of Philip and Nicole's love story? Comment below with your favorite moment, and don't forget to subscribe to Philia Heart for more emotional billionaire romance stories like this one.